Hello and welcome back to the Motorsport Better podcast. I'm your host Didi, and joining me today once again is my friend and your co-host Vedant. On this episode, we'll be talking about the F1 Azerbaijan GP. So let's grab some chai, take our seats, ready your opinions, and dive right into the conversation. Hello Vedant. Charles Leclerc said it hurt a lot. For him, how much did it hurt for you?
Well, you know, what can I say? I mean, we knew that Ferrari might struggle and they might go back to their old ways, right? And we were expecting that, but not that much, not that much. I think it's I mean, being Ferrari fans, we are always cautious, right? In our hopes and expectations, but this is a bit too much.
Yeah, and technical DNFs that too. Ferrari was trying to pull a strategic masterstroke after seeing that they didn't have the outright pace during the race,
Yeah.
but the engines kind of gave out, which is kind of weird, because Ferrari was on top of reliability at the start of the season, and it's just gone south ever since. And it wasn't just two of the Ferraris that double DNF'd in terms of engine. There were four engine issues across the grid for Ferrari during the race. So a lot for Mattia Binotto to talk about. But the double DNF for Ferrari has allowed Red Bull to extend their championship lead to 80 points. Most likely, maybe Charles might get a penalty this upcoming race in Canada. I'm not sure for his third power unit. But yeah, Red Bull haven't put a foot wrong ever. I mean, after their couple DNFs early in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both the Red Bulls won two, right? And I think this is the first time Red Bull have won two in the Drivers' Championship since I think it was 2011 2011 when Seb and Mark Webber were won two. But
That's
even
an
though they
interesting stat.
even though they won four championships after that, they were never won two. But it's great to see Red Bull won two, and I think it's great to see Sergio Perez in the form that he is right now and actually pushing uh, you know Max Verstappen and beating Max Verstappen at some points. But yeah.
Especially in qualifying.
Yeah,
Usually you don't
absolutely.
associate qualifying with Sergio Perez, but he's been on fire. He was ahead of Max Verstappen in Monaco and now in Azerbaijan too.
Yeah.
But what the heck happened with Sergio Perez during the race? Why was he so much slower than Max Verstappen, having been faster than him in all conditions throughout the race weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising. There hasn't been any sort of explanation for it. He just said that we lost a bit of pace and had a bad stop or something. But yeah, I mean, it was strange because even though Max was faster, and you may swap places if you have a faster teammate behind. But at the end of the day, I think Sergio Perez was more than 10 seconds behind Max Verstappen. So that
Yeah,
was
yeah
quite a lot.
he was a yeah. I mean, given Sergio Perez's pace, it would have been an easy 2-3 for Ferrari at Azerbaijan, if not a 1-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so disheartening there. But let's take it back to Ferrari and Matteo Binotto's comments before the weekend. So the first thing that came out of Matteo Binotto was his comment that Ferrari wasn't really looking to mount a title challenge coming into the season. They were just trying to be competitive and win a few races, which seemed a bit odd given like at the start of the season. Uh, you know, I don't know if he exactly said that they were trying to challenge for the title, but they obviously said let's see what happens in the title. But they never said that was not our aim. Uh, I mean, they definitely have exceeded expectations in terms of what we were expecting of them coming into the season. But to say that now is a bit. I'm not sure what it says about what's going on at Ferrari at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely was odd. And I mean, Ferrari, even before the season started, even in 2021, they were the first team to come out and say that we will start working on 2022 as early as possible, right? So I think with that mindset and Ferrari coming in and saying that we weren't looking to fight for the championship, it's a bit odd. And especially being a team like Ferrari and the years that have gone by, they really, I mean, one would assume that a team like Ferrari would have the ambition to win championships right away in the new era, right? So,
Not
yeah,
just that, but the fact that they are in the mix, or they really were at least before this race. And to say that before the race, it just seems like they're almost not giving their best, and which is not true in my opinion. But the words don't really reflect the passion or the motivation that should have come through, I guess, for a team that is involved in a championship fight. And again, I think the one other thing that I want to just mention here that is not related to this is Matej Binotto was not very happy about the new FIA appointment. I think I don't remember the name or the position, but basically this person has links to Mercedes. But I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. When Stefano Domenicali took over as president of of F1, it was the same conversation there. But we've seen that there's nothing that has happened that would point to Stefano being partial to Ferrari or any of the other teams that he might have worked with in the past.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are huge professionals. These are great professionals, and there's obviously a gardening period that all of them have to serve before moving between a team and the administration. So as long as the gardening period has been served, there can't be any complaints from anyone on the paddock.
Yeah, the last thing that I have about Ferrari and Red Bull is their philosophy. Now, Ferrari have kept the philosophy where they have a car that is really good in the corners, especially out of the corners, whereas Red Bull is really good in in the slow speed corners, not accelerating out of the corners, but really good in straight lines also. And it seems that philosophy hasn't really worked out for Ferrari in comparison to what Red Bull have been trying. And I'm kind of surprised that Ferrari haven't tried to, depart from what they've been doing and try something different so far to be able to keep the Red Bull at bay or to be able to come back and attack the Red Bull. Because even at a place like Azerbaijan, once Charles Leclerc got overtaken, it didn't seem like he had the pace at all over the next 1 or 2 laps to come back at Max Verstappen. I know the tires play a lot in that, which is another point that the Red Bull is much kinder on its tires, and the Ferrari is really struggling compared to that, and it's making it difficult for Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz to come back once they are overtaken. So really interesting to see that Ferrari haven't really changed their philosophy. Obviously, it allows Red Bull to have better pace during the race, but Ferrari's pace in qualifying is again just scintillating. So this it's a weird back and forth throughout the weekend, but at the end, whatever Ferrari is doing is not working for them to get the points home, which is what really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, firstly, if you can't finish the race, there's no point in being on pole on Saturday. But absolutely, I think race pace is much more important in terms of the larger picture. In Monaco, you might say that qualifying is important, but in the larger picture, race pace is definitely more important because that brings you the points. And yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about the different philosophies of the two cars, but I think Ferrari does have a lot to learn. I mean, they brought out their first upgrade so late into the season, right? And then their engine upgrade has failed to pay off any dividends and actually cost them a lot more. So there's a lot. I mean, Ferrari have an uphill battle now to come back to even terms with Red Bull.
Yeah, and talking about that, it's interesting that Ferrari has or is taking the more conservative approach, if you want to put it like that, where they're trying to still understand the car, get the best out of it, and not bring too many upgrades, along with the cost cap and everything else, right? Whereas Red Bull has been really pushing for the upgrades, even with the cost cap in there. And we have heard from Matej Binotto that it is impossible to bring as many upgrades as Red Bull are bringing to every race.
Yeah.
How fast they're developing, and Red Bull has called for more funds or a cost cap extension basically, because Christian Horner felt that the teams won't be able to complete throughout the 23 races by the end of the year. So I wonder if there is something there too. that we that neither Mattia Binotto nor Christian Horner can really talk about or say because they don't have the holistic picture. But maybe the FIA, which is or the part of the FIA which is tracking the expenses of these teams, might have a greater insight. Obviously, I don't think they're going to release information, but even a qualitative article on the same might be an interesting read, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but talking about cost caps, Williams broke the cost cap last season,
But
and
they didn't break the cost cap. They just didn't meet the deadline for submission of the paperwork. So
okay,
it wasn't a
yeah,
financial fault. It was a administrative fault.
yeah. So maybe I did not read that properly, but yeah, I mean, it was surprising to see that Williams were involved in some sort of cost cap controversy. But yeah,
Yeah.
moving on.
But yeah, let's move away from Ferrari and Red Bull. Let's talk about the other team that did not do a double DNF but instead got double points, and that is Alpine. Double points for Alpine as Alonso spoils qualifying for quite a few.
Yeah,
Uh, that was an angry Alex Albon on the radio after after that session. But Alonso knows how to play by the rules, and if if there is something that Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton can learn still from Fernando Alonso is how to really skim the rules.
yeah,
I think that is
absolutely.
one thing that they can learn. But I thought Alonso drove a great race, similarly with Esteban Ocon, and just bringing home those crucial points for a team like Alpine. And Alpine seemed to be on the up. They were the fastest car in the speed trap at the end of the straight, I believe.
Yeah, the straight line speed Alpine is bringing is, I mean, it's insane. And given that Baku,
Monza.
yeah, sorry,
I said Monza will be interesting.
Monza, yeah, right. And I mean, that's what I was going to say, right? Given that Baku is a 2 kilometer long straight or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
it was, I mean, it was their backyard per se. So, yeah, double points. And for once, Alonso outscored Ocon in this season. I
I
believe.
mean, he's been driving very well. It's just that he hasn't been as lucky. Alonso did outscore Esteban at Monaco too. Ocon
Yeah,
was
well, I didn't watch Monaco I didn't watch
okay,
Monaco at all. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Porpoising drama is back. Obviously, drivers have been complaining, and Lewis Hamilton was very vocal about his back pain this weekend. But very interesting comments from Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. Obviously, Toto Wolff coming out in support of Lewis Hamilton, but Christian Horner coming out and saying that if I was a team principal, even I would ask my driver to complain over the radio as much as possible to make this a bigger issue. But we've seen other drivers also come out and talk about porpoising and how it is affecting them and what the consequences could be,
Yeah.
long term. So there's definitely something there. What I believe is going to happen is none of these comments really matter, except that the rule changes that will be made will probably just like whatever rule changes are made technically for the porpoising that we have will only affect the 2026 rules and regulations. I doubt there's going to be anything else that's going to happen in the interim between today and the 2026 technical regulation overhaul.
Yeah, I mean, they can't bring something very big in the middle of a technical package, right? But they may try to bring in some small things here and there. I don't know. I'm not. I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know that. But I mean, the surprising thing for me is that, well, it's not surprising anymore, but Mercedes are suffering the worst, right? We know that, and Mercedes have been the most vocal. So even though the other drivers are vocal as well, as long as they are not suffering as bad as Mercedes are, as long as it's, I mean, if it's way worse, if three or four teams are literally falling apart, there might be some intervention, right? But if there's only one team which is struggling to counter that effect, and the other teams are somewhat controlling it, there is no way there's going to be any change.
I mean, yeah, there's two parts to it. One, yes, the sport needs to do something to, help everyone out, basically. And the second part is that Mercedes just needs to take care of its drivers and run a car that is slower than what it uh, what it actually is with all that porpoising.
Yeah.
So there's definitely two parts. One is like obviously where the team is taking the initiative, and the second is where the sport as a whole is taking an initiative, which is going to take time, and that I feel that's how it should be for any problem. Having a knee-jerk reaction in Formula One does not usually work from what we've seen so far. But very interesting from Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. We'll see how that how
I
that
mean,
builds.
Toto Wolff even said that Lewis Hamilton may have to miss out the race in Montreal, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is definitely exaggeration, like Christian Horner pointed out.
Yeah.
And also like these teams have, if the issue was really so big, I believe, for like from a health perspective, these guys have, access to the best physios, the best kinesiologists, the best doctors. They would have identified it by now and reported it to the FIA if that was the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously,
Absolutely.
you won't know everything, the effects, the long-term consequences now, but whatever they would have learned or known or understood, they would have, communicated it to the FIA and try to ward off the issue. But anyway, let's move forward. Sebastian Vettel scores some great points as Lance Stroll trolls himself throughout the weekend. That's a real tongue twister, but what a drive from Sebastian Vettel. Definitely loves Baku, and especially in that Aston Martin, he seems to come alive there. But what is going on with Lance Stroll? What is going on with that man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We have asked that question way too many times now, and I mean, there's no answer
See,
to it, right?
the way I put it is, and I've said this before, nothing against Lance Stroll. He's had some really good performances over the last few years, once every 10 races or so. But if Lawrence Stroll wants to build a championship winning team, he can't have his son driving for him. That is
Exactly,
the bottom line. That is the
exactly,
bottom line.
exactly. And I mean, we have seen Lance Stroll on the front row. We have seen Lance Stroll on the podium, and he drives well. He drives. He's in Formula One. Yes, it may be because of the backing that he has, but he has stayed in Formula One, and he has scored points in Formula One and performed relatively well in Formula One. So obviously, there's no question about his driving as a whole. But yeah, I think he has some, you know, he has a lot of ups and downs in his form, which is rare to see in Formula One. You either see a driver struggling like Ricciardo, or you see a driver on the top of his form, like Pierre Gasly or Max Verstappen, and a few odd races here and there, right? But you won't you in Formula One you never see three bad races, then three good races, then three bad races. So that's a catch with
Well,
Lance Stroll.
don't tell Carlos Sainz about that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're trying to say. I was just scrolling through Twitter, and I think I saw a post from WTF1 that says Piastri 2023 deal may be closed. Where do you think he's going? We don't have enough time to cover the entire silly season, which I would love to.
Yeah.
But
We'll do that someday. But yeah, I mean, I don't see Piastri coming over to Alpine, because I think Fernando Alonso may stay for another couple of seasons.
Oh, he's definitely staying.
Right, because he's driving well. The team likes how
and Alonso is enjoying himself.
Alonso is enjoying it, and the team loves his performances, so he's staying. And Alpine already have one junior driver in a different team, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see where Piastri goes. There were some suggestions that Piastri might go to Williams, but that would mean either Albon goes or Latifi goes. I don't see Albon going, so that means Latifi goes. But Latifi has the backing, so I mean, it's anybody's guess now where Oscar Piastri might come in 2023, might race in 2023, but hopefully he does in Formula One and somewhere competitive.
Yeah, hopefully. And talking about 2023, Kyalami deal may be close to, from the reports that we've been seeing recently. and F1 might be returning to Kyalami next year, which means an even bigger calendar. We didn't get a 23 race record-breaking calendar this year, but we might just get a 24 race record-breaking calendar for next year. Thoughts?
Kyalami, race in Africa, race in South Africa, great. 24 races, 23 races in the calendar, not so great. But I mean, I think with Kyalami coming on the calendar, every single person on the grid would be happy because of the inclusion it brings in, because of a new continent, a race in Africa, and all these things, the PR that it brings in, and the new circuit in Kyalami, the upgrade, like I think in early 2000 or early 2010s, they revamped the circuit and made it proper for FIA grade 2. All they have to do now is make it FIA grade 1, right? So it's definitely a great circuit, and it's definitely going to be a big event in South Africa.
Yeah, my only thought is hopefully tickets are cheap.
Well, I think they would be. Given the given the economy.
Not just the race, the tickets to the race, but also the tickets to go to South Africa.
Yeah, well, that's another point. Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's all from my side. Vedant, is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we wrap up this podcast?
Well, nothing much from my side, but yeah, I mean, I think Ferrari needs to, get their act together right now, because at this rate, Red Bull will run away with the title and Ferrari will stay in P2. And I think their customer teams are getting a little bit frustrated.
They'll be fine, but I think that is why we need Sergio Perez to do well. I think I saw someone tweet that Mexico is the only country to boast Formula One race winner, an IndyCar race winner, and a NASCAR race winner this year.
Ah, right. I didn't know about NASCAR, but yeah.
So I think Daniel Suarez won this past weekend. But yeah, thank you, Vedant, for talking about F1 with me once again. It's been a pleasure, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.